Hello everyone, and welcome to a little bit of a mini vlog. So I actually have to do some work out in the garden because the weeds are out of control, as you can see, and I haven't really had a chance to do much over the past few weeks. So we're gonna do some weeding, and I'm actually going to take you along with me. I'm hoping that almost everything is up, but I guess we'll see. Unfortunately, I don't think much is going to be able to be seen. Things are up, but until I actually get it weeded, I don't think there's going to be much to actually see. Just before I get going here, I just want to explain how I essentially do this with having, I guess, underlying medical conditions. So although I don't look like it, I do have to make some modifications in order to be able to do this properly. Now, one of the ways I actually do this is with this bucket. So I use this as a seat. I can go for longer and I'm not having to worry about the dizziness that I get when I actually bend over. So I've explained this before. This is something I actually used to think I had more with the acetazolamide when I was on the medication as a side effect. But it's something that hasn't actually went away, and that is dizziness when I bend over. It's the reason why I sit down to put my shoes on. It's why my knees tend to take a lot of the brunt actually of like any work that I do, even at work, is because I cannot, like, any amount of time essentially doing like this and like even just standing up like that, and I start getting dizzy. So let's get to this. So I am about, I think, 20 minutes or so into the weeding. All right, so as you can see, the corn is looking really good. Actually, everything is looking really good. I'm really excited when I get a little bit farther down to actually show how good everything looks like. It's really actually quite easy to do the weeding now, but like, if you do the weeding, sometimes it can be really hard to know exactly like where everything is. And I find particularly the carrots are really hard. And I actually think that we have some carrots this year. I think I can actually see some carrots coming up. And this would be the first time since I've done a garden at this specific place that, actually maybe it's the second time, but we didn't hardly get any carrots. We didn't get anything the last couple of years. So I'm really hoping that that is actually the case when I get over there. Next, I will do the peas. With the peas though, we actually have 2 rows, but one of the rows we left, I believe. Yeah, one of the rows we left to rotate to have a longer harvest basically. So we still have yet to plant some of the garden. So 1 row of peas and I believe a row of lettuce. We did 2 that we left 1 row for pretty much around this time so that we have less at once, basically, if that makes any sense. I'm actually also just going to, before I get too much into this, I'm going to have some water. It's really important. It's actually pretty nice in the shade right now, and being that I put on bug spray, I'm not getting too overwhelmed by the mosquitoes. So yeah, I'm just gonna have a little bit of a drink. Cheers, and to an awesome day for weeding. It's beautiful out here. So just a bit of another update now. I am pretty sure that we do actually have carrots this year, so that is great. I'm a little bit confused though, because I have pea plants on the one row that I didn't plant. So I'm guessing what happened is the one that I actually first planted is missing, and ironically it's moved over to the other row. So I'm not sure what's going on there, if I just didn't plant or if I started a plant and then forgot that I was going to rotate them. Weeding is pretty easy this morning because we've had so much rain. So the garden is actually pretty wet this morning. As you can probably tell here, it's very, very muddy. The nice thing about the garden being really muddy though is that it's really easy pulling the larger weeds. So that's been really nice actually. Sometimes I really have to fight with it. But anyways, I'm on to the lettuce next. So there's only one row, but we're gonna have 2 rows eventually. And we love garden lettuce actually. So then we'll have another row of lettuce to plant, and then I believe there's a row of onions, but then we left another one to plant later. I'll have to see for sure. Like on this side of the garden we have rows, and then on that side of the garden over here we actually have potatoes. For the most part, there's not a lot of the potatoes up. Everything is looking really good though so far anyways. It's just a lot of, like, that was like fine surgical work doing the carrots. I think I used the hoe actually to do in between the rows, and I just try and get underneath the roots and like mix in the weeds. The other weeds, I actually just take them out of the garden, but for the most part, like, a lot of the weeds just get like composted basically back into it. I think I will actually go and have another drink. The nice part is because I'm sitting down, I really don't have a problem. Wow, okay, this is cool. So I'm actually just walking back to put the gimbal out to do another time lapse, and this is really neat. We've got some mushrooms growing here. All right, so here's what I do with the weeds. I put it in a bowl and then I just dump them out. I am done now, like the surgical part. So like if I didn't have that pail thing, I would be looking at like maybe an hour or 2 before I got tired. But I mean, I haven't been out here for very long actually, so that's pretty good. I'm hoping that I'm in view thanks to the active track, because I cannot see a thing in the camera. Gonna have a little bit of a break, maybe go inside for actually a couple of minutes, because I've been directly in the sun now for a little bit. All right, guys, the garden is done. Whew, that was a workout and a half getting the rest of that done. 1 second, I just gotta take a drink here. Another example how gardening can be painful and sore. I gave myself a blister, so that's great. A lot better. It's not perfect, but it's gonna be good enough for now. All right, guys, thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this little garden day in the life kind of thing. It's about 11 o'clock. I started at about 9, so actually not too bad. I am gonna go and have a shower and then rest though, because I am pretty wiped after this. That doing the major part is a lot of work, and I have to pause quite a bit, as you probably seen in the time lapse. Our tomatoes are like so tall already. The cucumbers, I didn't post anything when I first planted because it was only the cucumbers and the tomatoes that you could see, but everything has grown so much in the last couple weeks. I don't know if I'll do this again, but if you want more of me out in the garden, this is an example of how I actually tend to get another meditation. Now, honestly, I'm really lucky that my whole day flows now the same pretty much as when I'm on the meditation cushion. It's been a way that my life has actually shifted recently. I usually actually listen to music, but I was filming time lapses while I was working, so I wasn't able to. And just the silence and then the sounds of nature was just made it as just as enjoyable as listening to 80s music. If you guys want more of this type of thing, let me know and I can definitely do some more. I know you guys miss vlogs because that's what I basically started out doing on the channel, and I just haven't had a lot of time. And like my daily life usually is I go to work, come home for lunch, I eat, I go back to work, I come home. By that point I'm pretty wiped in the day, so I don't really feel like it's worth vlogging, if that makes any sense. I really enjoyed this and I had to get the garden done anyway, so I might as well take you guys with me, because this type of thing, if you're able to do it, can be really helpful with, you know, staying active if you have chronic illness. Now, I'd suggest actually, if you have trouble bending over, I used to have this when I lived at the place I used to before, but you can actually do a raised garden bed and you can make those as tall as you want to. So if you wanted to, you could actually have it at a certain height, like whatever you find is the most valuable. And unfortunately wood is really expensive, but if you wanted to do it that way, you could. And then you wouldn't have to deal with all the bending over, because even on the pail, I really have to like focus exactly on where I am to not get really dizzy and feel really sick. I'm off to get cleaned up and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye everyone.